Daisy, ever the cynic, says, what protection do you have when somebody steals your ideas? And Gilly's unfortunately suffered from that. Interestingly, Gilly, that you're not. You mentioned that it's true in copyright law that there's no protection for an idea as such, but there could be protection for the formatting of an idea. And in fact, a freelance a couple of years ago won £5,000 from the Daily Mail in a situation where he'd sent them the format for a suggested sort of community awards feature. They said they didn't want it and then went ahead and stole it, and that they can see the finished thing and actually confirm then if they'd be interested in taking that. I do not think, if they don't know you, that they will be prepared normally to commit to buying something that they've just seen your outline for when they don't know how well you're going to be putting it together. Kellyanne's mentioned Kellyanne's mentioned an issue about writing star dating to the internet, which I think is just. I'm not going into detail because it's too broad an area to explore tonight. But it's interesting that I think in terms of diversity of writing and the overlap between different types of writing, we're seeing more both of those than ever before. Brian is mentioning a question about can you publish stuff that's been published previously. The only thing you've got to watch in your own blog, of course, is infringing copyright. And copyright can hold a few surprises. And remember that even your colleagues will sometimes, because they're in the same business as you are, feel quite sensitive about it. So Dale's absolutely right. There are copyright issues with posting published articles on your blog. There may even be copyright issues with regard to a friend. And normally, and some of you may be aware of this, that I have and try to, although we all make mistakes, contact even sort of friends, as a courtesy, if nothing else, but also to resolve this issue. To ask them before actually posting any pictures on a blog in that way. And we had an interesting issue raised the other day where I found, for example, a picture of one of my former distance learning students that is now a sort of freelance cameraman, and I thought that would be a nice. It's sort of on his site and would make a good illustration for a blog piece which was talking about his work, and fairly quickly got I did ask, was it okay to use that? Although I asked at the same time posting it, and very shortly afterwards got a sort of email back sort of just pointing out that it wasn't his copyright, and the photographer who'd taken it was very sensitive about. I mean, quite happy for it to be used free, but complete with full credit, the right sort of caption, and a link to their site. So from that point of view, I think we've just got to be quite sensitive. We're all a little bit like, it's like original artists, isn't it? We're very sensitive about how our work's used, and if we've got any power over protecting it or people's use of it, then we should. The link is one option, Katerina, because it's obviously taking somebody to the original website on which it's published, and that's obviously increasing their web visitors, and they're seeing it in the context of the original copyright. So that's not a problem. Daisy, ever the cynic, says, what protection do you have when somebody steals your ideas? And Gilly's unfortunately suffered from that. Interestingly, Gilly, that you're not. You mentioned that it's true in copyright law that there's no protection for an idea as such, but there could be protection for the formatting of an idea. And in fact, a freelance a couple of years ago won £5,000 from the Daily Mail in a situation where he'd sent them the format for a suggested sort of community awards feature. They said they didn't want it, and then went ahead and stole it, and the paper lost that particular copyright action. But it's my colleague is just saying that you can copyright plot mechanics in screenwriting as well, on the same basic principle. It does mean that you've, potentially. Because basically the Daily Mail, the Roger Wallens case, the Daily Mail has sort of said just exactly what you were saying, Julie, that there's no copyright in ideas and get lost. I think it has to be said on a personal level that this is the part of the rocky road of establishing your relationship with customers, and I think such incidents are disappointing. I think whether or not you have time to police or follow them up is obviously an individual matter, because obviously you may well have priorities like earning money getting in the way. But what it tends to end up as being you as a writer establishing good working relationships with people that you can trust.